With that, we want to bring, and we thank you. We want to bring in Jonathan Turley, law professor at George Washington University and Fox News contributor. Jonathan, welcome. Anxious to hear your reaction to this statement by the Attorney General. What did you think?
Well, much of it was boilerplate, trust us, we're the government type of language. I'm not too sure why it merited the delay, because it was the minimum that could be said. I mean, the Attorney General reaffirmed the commitment of the Department of Justice. None of us expected him to come forward and confess that this was all a political gotcha moment. But we were hoping for a little bit more. Now, the big disclosure is that they will be moving to unseal the warrant and also the list of material that was acquired in the search. But that immediately led to a number of us saying, well, how about the affidavit? That's what you really want to see, because the affidavit is what the agents told the court as to the basis for this type of search, since the Attorney General said that it was not possible to have any other means, to use any other means to acquire this evidence. That affidavit must have made that case. And the question is, why? I mean, if they were looking for an identifiable document or documents, presumably they asked the Trump people to turn it over. Did they just tell them to take a leap out a window? I mean, it's surprising if that would be the case, but we don't have those details, because when you say that it's not possible to use any other means, you're saying we couldn't issue another subpoena that specifically identified these documents and required that they be turned over. We couldn't send just a couple of agents over to say, this is going to happen, going to be subject to a search warrant. There's a lot of real estate between that June meeting and this raid that has a lot of us wondering why the attorney said it's not possible to done anything else.
And you know what? Here's why we need to see the affidavit. When you say that, right, when you say this is the reason, these are the underlying reasons for the search, right? And everyone's just supposed to accept that there was no other way to go about it. But then immediately your mind goes to the FISA filing, right, that we couldn't see for a really long time. It goes to all other things in the Russia collusion that we were just supposed to accept were legitimate underlying evidence, like the Steele dossier, that merited the surveillance of people like George Papadopoulos and Carter Page, right? We were supposed to accept that they had the goods, otherwise they would never have taken this measure, right? And so this is what I was pointing to earlier that I think is sad in terms of the destruction of trust in the country, right? That is based on a number of things. We could both go on for quite a while. So that's why we need to see the affidavit, right? We need to see it, and we need to see it quickly, I would say.
Right. I mean, in fairness to the Department of Justice, the 15 boxes that were acquired at the beginning of the year reportedly did contain classified information, did contain material that should have been turned over. Fine. I mean, that they have a right to that information. Yep. But what we're really questioning here now is the means and why this ratcheted up into this criminal investigation. Because there does appear to have been compliance with the earlier subpoena. Now, one of the things that I thought was interesting about what Attorney General Garland said was that, you know, he was prepared to talk about collateral issues like, but he didn't say, and by the way, people are saying that this was pretextual, that this is really about January 6th. I just want to put that to rest. The purpose stated in the warrant, which you will presumably see in a few hours, is the only purpose for which material was being gathered. He didn't have to get into any more detail than that. But we will see in the warrant what the parameters were in terms of the gathering. You know, Attorney General Mukasey is obviously correct. These warrants often have boilerplate language that says that if you come across evidence of other crimes, you can share them. But what we're really talking about here, what people have suggested, is that this was always intended as a pretext, that this was really an effort to get January 6th evidence. That would be a pretty serious breach, given the history of the Department of Justice, which has been shown to have made false statements in the past on Trump investigations.
But we need to see, and I'm going to let you go, we need to see that there was a pretext, right? That there was a reason to go in. And you know, I'm always a little wary when people say we turned over 15 boxes or we turned over 33,000 emails, because if those don't include the email, if something's being withheld that is relevant, those are the documents that actually matter, correct? And if they said you must turn this over and they didn't get cooperation on that, would potentially create a situation where they had to do what they did, right?
Absolutely. What I'm looking for in that affidavit is an agent saying, we said that A, B, and C is still missing, and those documents are classified, they're highly sensitive, and they would not guarantee that they would turn them over. That's the type of stuff you will find in the affidavit that is critical to legitimating the raid.
Right. We need to know what made it not possible, and it may be there. So we stay tuned. Jonathan, thank you very much. Always good to see you. Jonathan Turley.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.